In the previous 80-second video where we covered 1 to 9 slokas of chapter 14, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yogam, Lord Krishna revealed the supreme wisdom relating to the three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas, that govern the material nature. So these three gunas, that is sattva, mode of goodness, rajas, mode of passion, and tamas, mode of ignorance, bind the atma to the physical body. Sattva binds through knowledge and happiness, rajas through relentless ambition and desire for fruitive action, and tamas through ignorance, laziness and delusion. So next let us see what Lord Krishna tells us in the next few slokas. So next sloka 10, rajastamascha-bhibhuya sattvam bhavati bharata, rajah sattvam tamaschaiva tamah sattvam rajastata. Bharata, rajaha tamaha cha abhibhuyaha sattvam bhavati. So sattvam bhavati, sattvam asserts by rajaha tamaha cha abhibhuyaha. So by overpowering, by dominating over rajaha and tamaha, sattvam bhavati, sattvam prevails. So sattva gunam asserts by overpowering rajas and tamas. Sattvam tamaha cha rajaha. So how does rajaha prevail? So rajas dominates, rajas asserts by overpowering sattvam tamaha, by overpowering sattva guna and tamo guna. Tata eva sattvam rajaha tamaha. So likewise only tamaha, tamas dominates by overpowering sattvam rajaha, by overpowering sattvam and rajas. So through this shloka, Lord explains that the three modes are in a continuous competition for dominance over the consciousness, over the atma. At any given moment, one mode dominates. It could be either sattva, rajas or tamas. One of them dominates. They dominate by overpowering the remaining two. So when sattva dominates by overpowering rajas and tamas, clarity and calmness results. Likewise, when tamas, the mode of ignorance, dominates, one may feel lazy or experience a kind of madness. So it's important to understand the internal struggle that goes on, to know the mood swings and the how the material forces in us change. Sarvadvareshu dehesmin prakasha upajayate jnanam yada tada vidyat vivruddham sattvam mityuta. Yada asmin dehe sarvadvareshu prakashaha jnanam upajayate. So jnanam upajayate, prakashaha jnanam upajayate. When knowledge and brightness radiate asmin dehe sarvadvareshu, via the perceptual senses. So when knowledge and brightness radiates via the perceptual senses of the body, tada sattvam uta, uta is certainly, tada sattvam uta, then certainly vivruddham iti vidyat. Vidyat is be aware, know. So then know that sattvam vivruddham. Sattva, the mode of goodness, predominates when knowledge and brightness radiate via all the perceptual senses of the body. So next Lord Krishna, in this shloka, Lord Krishna begins to explain the symptoms that can be observed when each of the gunas dominates. So sattva guna dominates when all the gates of the body are illuminated. Lord Krishna uses the word sarvadvareshu. All the gates of the body are illuminated with the light of knowledge. So the here sarvadvara, the gates, refers to the senses such as sight, hearing, feeling, smelling and so on. So these senses become sharp and receptive to sattva, sattvic feelings. So in this state one experiences clarity of thought, a deep sense of understanding as to what is right and what is wrong. So one becomes very discerning as to what is right and wrong. There is a natural inclination towards virtuous deeds. So when decisions are taken and actions are performed when sattva dominates, there is no selfishness. So when these symptoms are observed, that is when knowledge radiates, when brightness radiates via all the via sarvadvara, then one can definitely say, then we need to be aware that sattva guna dominates. Lobha pravrittirarambah karmana ashamah spruha rajasyetani jayante vivruddhe bharatarshaba. Bharatarshaba, O Arjuna, greatest among the Bharata descendants, Rajasi Vivruddhe. So when Rajasi dominates, when Rajas dominates, Lobaha Pravritti. So one becomes greedy, one Karmanam Arambaha. So one tries to do fruitive actions, one is driven to do fruitive actions because of Lobaha, greed. Asamaha. So one experiences restlessness, asamaha, spruha etani jayante, and there is a desire for sensual indulgence, spruha. So when Rajas dominates, it manifests as intense greed, restless activity, and a great endeavor for fruitive actions. What we say, ambition driven actions. So one experiences an insatiable longing for fruits of action. How much wealth do I have? How much wealth I have accumulated? What is my bank balance? And also there is a craving for sensory gratification. So this psychological state takes away the peace of mind in us. And one is always agitated because of the unfulfilled desires and fear of failure. So we can understand that actions under Rajas are not selfless. They are highly transactional, and one expects profit, personal gain. So Lord Krishna tells us that when the above symptoms are observed, know that Rajas guna dominates, Rajo guna dominates. Aprakasho pravrittischa pramado moha eva cha tamasyetani jayante vivruddhe kurunandana. Kurunandana, O Arjuna, descendant of Kuru, tamasi vivruddhe. When tamoguna dominates, aprakasha, darkness, apravritti, inertia, disinterest towards action, pramadaha cha. So pramadaha, negligence and carelessness, mohaha cha, that is mohaha is delusion, etani eva jayante. So only these arise, that is pramadaha, apravritti and aprakasha. All these arise when tamas dominates. So rise of tamas is characterized by lack of knowledge, that is aprakasha, darkness, which it is lack of knowledge which leads to darkness, and apravritti, inertia, there is no interest to do any work, and negligence and mohaha, absolute delusion prevail. So in such a state the intellect becomes very clouded, rendering one incapable of distinguishing between what is right and wrong, what is productive and destructive behavior. So there is no motivation to do work also, leading to chronic laziness, excessive sleep, and there is always a tendency to postpone work and ignore one's duties. It's very important, one ignores duties, there is no responsibility. Madness or erratic behavior follows. So one is not in touch with reality also. So Krishna, by describing the symptoms of Rajas, Tamoguna, he cautions how this mode of ignorance, it paralyzes the Atma's capacity for growth and awareness. Yada sattve pravriddhe tu pralayam yati deha bhrit tadottama vidan lokan amalan pratipadyate. Yada deha bhrit sattve pravriddhe pralayam yati. So yada deha bhrit is the embodied being, one with the physical body. So when the embodied being pralayam yati, when the person dies, sattve pravriddhe. So when the embodied being dies, when sattve pravriddhe, when sattva guna dominates, tatatu uttama vidan amalan lokan pratipadyate. So tatatu, thereafter he reaches the amalan lokan. So he reaches the lokas, which are pure and sacred. So he reaches the pure and sacred realms where uttama vidam, where people with the highest knowledge reside. So in this shloka, Lord Krishna describes the cosmic destination of the atma that leaves the physical body when sattva guna dominates. Such a person is elevated to higher lokas where great sages and seekers of truth reside. So life of these sages is characterized by virtue, clarity and selflessness. So this elevated environment provides a sattvic atma, the right environment to continue the spiritual journey without the heavy burden of material desires. Also in Bhagavad Gita, in various places, Lord Krishna has reinforced the core principle that the thought and the state of mind at the moment of death determines our next destination. So also we must remember that sattva dominates at the time of death only if the entire life was lived in a very sattvic way. Rajasi pralayam gatva karma sangishu jayate tata praleenastamasi moodhayonishu jayate. Rajasi pralayam gatva karma sangishu jayate. So Rajasi, a person who is influenced by rajoguna. Pralayam gatva, so a person who dies when he is influenced by rajoguna, Rajasi, then karma sangishu jayate. So he takes birth amidst those beings who are attached to fruitive actions, karma sangishu. Tata tamasi praleenaha moodayonishu jayate. Likewise, tamasi, those who die, praleenaha, tamasi praleenaha, likewise those who die in tamoguna, moodayonishu jayate. They take birth in the womb of animals or worms or insects which are moodayonishu, that lack intelligence. So after describing the post-death journey of persons under sattva influence in the previous shloka, in this verse Lord Krishna contrasts the same with the post-death destination of rajas and tamas influenced persons. So if a person dies when rajas dominates, they are reborn among those attached to result-driven worldly action, that is action-oriented person, thus forcing them to resume the same grueling cycle of ambitious labor. So those of us who drive our children to write competitive exams, go for tuition classes to secure great jobs, provide a rajasic environment to our children. So we've done the same in the past, we've done the same ambitious labor in the past janma, and we continue to do the same in this janma as well. When those steeped into the darkness of tamas, when they die, they are reborn in animalistic, ignorant environment where there is darkness. So these two slokas, this one and the previous one, it maps the outcome of the dominant daily habits and also tells us how the atma continues, it carries forward the same in the next birth. Karmana sukrutasyahuhu satvikam nirmalam phalam rajasastu phalam dukkam ajnanam tamasah phalam. Sukrutasya karmanam phalam tu satvikam nirmalam ahuhu. Ahuhu is, it is said what? Sukrutasya karmanam phalam. The results of sukrutasya karmanam, virtuous actions, satvikam nirmalam. So it is pure. The results of virtuous action is pure. And rajasaha phalam dukkam. Rajasic actions, that is work done for results, they bring dukkam, pain. Tamasaha phalam ajnanam. Tamasic actions lead to ajnanam, ignorance and darkness. So in this shloka, Lord Krishna summarizes the karmic results of actions performed under each of the three modes, that is goodness, passion and ignorance. So action done under the influence of sattva, that is goodness, are nirmalam, they are pure. So they bring auspicious results and they enhance the action doers' peace and wisdom. In contrast, rajasic actions bring pain and anxiety. So outwardly a person may appear successful, but inwardly he is dissatisfied. He is very anxious and he is always restless. Tamasic actions lead to deeper delusion and sufferings. So these shlokas serve as a guide for us to choose the nature of actions. Sattvat sanjayate jnanam rajaso lobha eva cha प्रमादमोहौ तमसः भवतो ज्ञानमेव च. सत्वात् ज्ञानं संजायते रजसः लोभ एव च. So sattva jnanam sanjayate. Sattva guna enhances and develops jnanam, wisdom. Rajasaha lobha evacha. From rajas greed arises. Tamasaha pramada mohena cha bhavataha. Ajnanam eva. So from tamasaha, from tamas, ignorance, delusion and madness arise. So in this shloka, Lord Krishna explains how the mind psychologically evolves when under the influence of the three gunas. So from sattva, true knowledge and wisdom are born, because of which one becomes discerning and understands what is right and wrong. So from rajas, greed is generated. Now this greed distorts perception and drives a person towards endless material acquisition. And from tamas, delusion, foolishness and lack of awareness regarding life's purpose is seen. ऊर्ध्वं गच्छन्ति सत्त्वस्ताः मध्ये तिष्ठन्ति राजसाः जगन्यगुणवृत्तिस्ताः अधो गच्छन्ति तामसाः. Sattvastaha urdhvam gachanti. So sattvastaha, sattvic persons, urdhvam gachanti. So they go upwards to heavenly planets. Madhye tishtanti rajasaha. So rajasic persons dwell in the middle, madhye. That is, they dwell in maybe in planet Earth where humans reside. Jaganya gunavrittistaha tamasaha. So those persons steeped in jaganya guna, in ignorance, delusion, in tamasic guna. So tamasaha adaha gachanti. They go downwards to hell. So those attached in sattva guna progress upwards to higher, more enlightened states of consciousness and existence. Rajasic persons remain in the middle, caught in the plane of intense struggle, continuous striving, and they experience periods of happiness and sorrow. Tamasic persons, trapped in delusion and ignorance, sink downwards to hellish planets that have degraded conditions. So it's time to summarize the 10 to 18 shlokas of chapter 14, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yogam. Lord Krishna first explains how each of the gunas compete for dominance over the person's mind and behavior. Also, he explains how each mode can be identified. What are the symptoms? So he explains, describes the distinct symptoms. For sattva, knowledge and light; rajas, insatiable greed and restlessness and ambition; and for tamas, inertia, delusion and laziness. The dominant guna in a person also determine the atma's destination after death. Like rajasic persons, after death they go upwards to heaven. Sattvic persons, after death they go upwards to heaven, and rajasic persons return to a life of grueling worldly labor, and tamasic persons go downwards to darker states of existence. So the cause and effect is clearly explained. By cultivating goodness, one gains wisdom and peace, and by getting caught in rajas, that is a mode of passion, one becomes anxious and he suffers pain, and by surrendering to tamas, one is caught in delusion and ignorance.